Hello there and welcome to Jakarta Movers and Shakers on Metro Globe Network live from Jakarta, Indonesia. I'm Krishna Sam and here are some of today's market headlines. In the first quarter of 2022, Indonesia's tax revenue grew by 41.3% compared to the same period a year ago. According to Indonesia's finance ministry, the increase in tax revenue was partly due to the return of economic and business activity in Indonesia. And we'll also talk with Pak Febrio Kacaribu, the head of fiscal policy at the Indonesian Ministry of Finance, to discuss the results from the second G20 finance ministers and central bank governors meeting. All right, let's look at how the Indonesian rupiah performed today. On Friday, rupiah was down by 0.12%, but still holding very steady at around 14,300 rupiah per US dollar, as it has been in recent days. Let's also take a look at gold price trends. As you can see, the international price of spot gold has been on a downward trend, but it was slightly higher on Friday afternoon. It was up, trading at $1,952 per troy ounce. Let's also take a look at cryptocurrencies. Earlier today on Friday at 3:12 a.m. Eastern Time, Bitcoin was valued at $40,662 per Bitcoin. As you can see, Bitcoin has been hovering around $40,000 to $41,000 per Bitcoin in the past few days. Well, the various policies issued by the Indonesian government are still unable to ensure lower prices of cooking oil or its adequate supply, as shortages of cooking oil are still occurring in many parts of the country. Now, over in Lebak, Banten, hundreds of local residents could be seen queuing at a cheap bulk cooking oil bazaar held at a local district office. They were willing to wait for hours just to get their share of bulk cooking oil that is being sold at the low price of 14,500 rupiah per liter. Indeed, the price of bulk cooking oil has surged by up to 90%, as cooking oil has been in short supply at distributor levels. And not just in Banten, but in Cilacap, Central Java, people also had to queue to get bulk cooking oil at local vendors. Hundreds of people had to line up since early in the morning to buy bulk cooking oil, as vendors admit that supplies have been short due to limited stocks from distributors. Now, similar conditions could be seen in Bone, South Sulawesi, as hundreds flocked to a cheap cooking oil bazaar held by the local government. Locals here pushed and shoved as they tried to get their share of cooking oil, which has been short in supply. Now, amid these cooking oil shortages and high prices, Indonesian authorities have pointed the blame at foul play within the cooking oil and palm oil industries. A high-ranking Ministry of Trade official has recently been named a suspect in a corruption act involving crude palm oil export permits, while the police and business competition watchdog are also investigating a so-called cooking oil mafia or cooking oil cartel, which has allegedly been holding back supplies to push up prices and profits.
Pak, kasih statement, Pak.
Well, indeed, the Indonesian Attorney General's office has expressed strong suspicion that the Ministry of Trade's Director General of Foreign Trade has received gratification fees or bribes from a number of palm oil companies in exchange for the issuing of export permits, even when those companies did not fulfill requirements. Currently, high-ranking employees from three palm oil companies have been suspected of corruption, and the AGO is planning to widen the investigation and look into 88 palm oil companies who had received export permits as well. Indonesia's Attorney General Esti Burhanuddin recently announced that the Ministry of Trade's Director General of Foreign Trade has been named a suspect in a corruption case involving the illicit issuing of export permits to 3 palm oil companies. High-ranking employees from these 3 palm oil companies have now also been named suspects. The Director General of Foreign Trade, Indrasari Wisnuwardana, is suspected of receiving bribes from these 3 palm oil companies in exchange for the issuing of export permits, even when those companies did not fulfill the requirements to supply crude palm oil for domestic needs. Indeed, in January 2022, the Indonesian Ministry of Trade imposed a domestic market obligation on crude palm oil in which palm oil companies must sell 20% of their export volume. If they did not do this, then they would not be given export permits. The Attorney General's office stated that they will now widen their investigation and look into 88 palm oil companies who had received export permits as well. Meanwhile, the Indonesian president himself, President Joko Widodo, admitted that he believes that the recent increases in cooking oil prices has been caused by foul play in the cooking oil and crude palm oil industries.
Dan saya minta diusut tuntas sehingga kita bisa tahu siapa ini yang bermain, bisa ngerti. Ini kita lihat sudah berjalan berapa minggu ini belum efektif. Di pasar saya lihat minyak curah banyak yang belum sesuai dengan HIT yang kita tetapkan. Artinya memang ada permainan.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Trade, Muhammad Lutfi, affirmed that he and the Trade Ministry will fully support the corruption investigation that is involving his own ministry's Director General of Foreign Trade.
Kami menyatakan dengan tegas, Kementerian Perdagangan tetap dan terus mendukung proses hukum yang tengah berjalan saat ini. Kementerian Perdagangan juga siap memberikan informasi yang diperlukan dalam proses penegakan hukum. Tindakan korupsi dan penyalahgunaan wewenang menimbulkan kerugian negara dan berdampak terhadap perekonomian nasional serta merugikan masyarakat. Kami juga telah menginstruksikan jajaran Kemendak untuk membantu proses penegakan hukum yang tengah berlangsung.
Unveiling this act of corruption is indeed crucial for ensuring the adequate supply of crude palm oil and to push down the prices of cooking oil, as palm oil is a crucial ingredient for the production of cooking oil. Indeed, cooking oil prices have seen significant surges compared to the year before, as allegations of corruption and foul play within the cooking oil and crude palm oil industries has been touted as a reason behind these price increases. And still from Indonesia, where the government assured that Indonesia's economic recovery is on a steady path, and this is reflected by the increase in tax revenues. Indonesia's Finance Minister Sri Mulyani stated that Indonesia's tax revenue in the first quarter of 2022 grew by 41.36% compared to the same period a year ago. So far, Indonesia has gathered 322.46 trillion rupiah in tax revenue, which is 25% of this year's target. According to Minister Sri Mulyani, the increase in tax revenue is due to the return of economic and business activity in Indonesia, while the increase in global commodity prices has also benefited Indonesia's tax revenue. Meanwhile, Minister Sri Mulyani said that all categories of tax revenue saw positive growth in the first quarter.
Sekarang tumbuhnya 41,56%. Ini adalah karena satunya adalah low base effect, yang kedua pemulihan ekonomi memang berjalan, dan yang ketiga kita juga melihat mungkin komparasinya dalam hal ini ada pergeseran penerimaan dari pajak kita seperti yang kelihatan di sini untuk import, kemudian ada juga program pengungkapan sukarela atau PPS yang dalam hal ini memberikan kontribusi pemulihan penerimaan pajak kita.
Well, Indonesia is pushing ahead with its development of mangroves to help reduce carbon emissions and capture carbon via coastal ecosystems in what is known as blue carbon. Now, the Indonesian government is even designed a roadmap to help maintain and develop mangrove ecosystems in the country.
Coastal ecosystems such as mangroves have a massive potential in reducing carbon emissions. In fact, mangroves are one of the top 3 most effective carbon capturing ecosystems in the world and is more effective at capturing carbon than dry jungle. What's more, almost a quarter of mangroves in the world are located in Indonesia. As a result, the Indonesian Ministry of Environment and Forestry is continuing to strengthening the maintaining and development of coastal ecosystems such as mangroves. During a workshop on blue carbon and the blue economy, the Indonesian Ministry of Environment, Siti Nurbaya, said that her ministry is setting numerous goals and targets, including the goal to plant more than 600,000 hectares of mangroves.
Kita juga perlu melihat potensi emitan karbon yang lain yang mampu menyerap karbon setara atau bahkan lebih besar dari hutan di daratan, yaitu ekosistem pesisir yang mampu mengurangi emisi gas rumah kaca secara signifikan. Jadi kita sudah nanam lebih dari 80.000 hektar dan seperti arahan yang hormat Bapak Presiden akan dilakukan penanaman sampai 600.000 hektar lebih.
Meanwhile, the Indonesian Ministry of Maritime and Fisheries is set to cooperate with the Ministry of Environment to help develop coastal ecosystems. Not just developing mangroves, both ministries will also focus on maintaining and developing seagrass and coral reefs.
Pesisir, wilayah pesisir itu ada mangrove, kemudian ada padang lamun, lalu kemudian ada lumpur payau yang harus tetap dijaga. Bagaimana kemudian kita bisa membuat juta kilometer juga, bukan juta hektar, luasan konservasi itu yang sangat terjaga dan tidak disentuh oleh kegiatan kehidupan umat manusia.
Blue carbon refers to the capturing of carbon through coastal ecosystems such as mangroves, seagrass, and brackish swamps. As Indonesia is home to a quarter of the world's mangrove ecosystems, Indonesia indeed plays a crucial role in maintaining mangroves so that it can help reduce global carbon emissions and help reach the net zero emissions global target by 2050.